Good afternoon. I'm Howard Zucker. I'm the Commissioner of Health for New York State, and I'm here with Carrie Gallagher, the Department of Environmental Conservation's Regional Director. Assemblyman Steve Engelbright, Suffolk County Executive Steve Bellone, Suffolk County Legislator Carol Hahn, Suffolk County Water Authority CEO Jeff Szabo, Dr. Christopher Gobler and Doctors Christopher Gobler and Harold Walker, and the co-directors of the Stony Brook Center for Clean Water Technology. Commissioner Basil Sagos of the Department of Environmental Conservation regrets he could not be here, but he is an Army reservist, and so he is otherwise engaged this weekend helping our nation. Today, at the Governor's direction, the Department of Health and the Department of Environmental Conservation convened a roundtable to address an important issue in Suffolk County, and that is the presence of 1,4-dioxane in drinking water and the federal government's lack of leadership in providing sufficient guidance for dealing with this. Specifically, the EPA has yet to establish an enforceable maximum contaminant level of 1,4-dioxane in drinking water, even though it has a primary authority to regulate drinking water quality nationwide. This lack of clear direction not only threatens the health and well-being of New Yorkers, but all Americans. And that is why all of us at this table today are jointly calling upon the EPA to set an MCL for 1,4-dioxane. Equally troubling is a federal loophole that exempts the public water systems serving less than 10,000 people from testing for unregulated contaminants like 1,4-dioxane. So to address this inadequate federal monitoring program, New York State's Water Quality Rapid Response Team has moved ahead with an aggressive action plan to ensure sampling of all public water systems on Long Island, no matter their size. This, however, is just one component of New York's comprehensive effort to protect clean water, drinking water, in the face of the federal government's shifting and contradictory guidance. Just over a month ago, Governor Cuomo put forth a historic $2 billion investment in his executive budget proposal that would rebuild and repair the state's critical water infrastructure. Right now on Long Island, the State Health Department has a new full-scale demonstration project utilizing something called the Advanced Oxidative Process technology, which is being tested as a way of removing 1,4-dioxane from the water supply. The New York State has also invested $5 million in the New York State Center for Clean Water Technology right here at Stony Brook to leverage innovation and promote advances in clean water technology. And this work includes the successful development of treatment technologies for 1,4-dioxane. New York has clearly been doing its part to address 1,4-dioxane, and it's time for the EPA to do the same. If the EPA fails to act in a timely manner, New York State will convene an advisory panel of experts to set an MCL at the state level. And make no mistake, this is a national issue that demands a consistent and a national standard, but New York State is prepared to act in the absence of federal leadership on this. And we are collectively urging the EPA to promulgate a regulation that sets a clear, enforceable MCL for 1,4-dioxane. As the Commissioner of Health, I am proud to co-sign Governor Cuomo's letter to the interim EPA administrator and to pass it down the table to my colleagues for their signatures. I would like to now introduce Carrie Gallagher to speak as well. Thank you.
Yes, hello, good afternoon. And thank you, Dr. Zucker. And you highlighted or touched on some of the issues pertaining to the need for additional testing of water supplies, as well as some of the treatment methodologies that are being developed. And so I'd just like to emphasize a few of the other proactive steps that New York State, through its Water Quality Rapid Response Team, are already taking in terms of testing discharges and remediation sites as well, in addition to looking at some pollution prevention initiatives with regard to removing 1,4-dioxane as a source of contamination from our aquifer. We realize that there are other possible sources of 1,4-dioxane, one of them being discharges from laundromats, and so just recently the New York State DEC is now requiring 3 laundromats in Suffolk County to sample for 1,4-dioxane as a requirement in their new SPEEDs, that's State Pollution Discharge Elimination System permits. And under these new permit conditions, these 3 facilities, all of which discharge wastewater to groundwater, will have to sample for 1,4-dioxane in their effluent once a week for a period of 4 weeks. And once we get those results back, we'll be able to determine, after evaluating those samples, be able to determine if further action is required. Another likely source of 1,4-dioxane contamination to our aquifer is, of course, legacy industrial sites, which I think everyone has heard something about in the past. Due to the correlation between the use of common industrial solvents like 1,1,1-trichloroethane, also known as TCA, and the presence of 1,4-dioxane, the DEC is now requiring all state Superfund sites to sample for 1,4-dioxane, formally requiring all state Superfund sites to sample for 1,4-dioxane. And of course, we'll be able to, under our state Superfund authority, depending on those results, take additional enforcement action, remedial action as required to remove 1,4-dioxane as a potential source of contamination in our aquifer. On the pollution prevention side, the Water Quality Rapid Response Team is working with the state's Pollution Prevention Institute to look at all of the potential sources of 1,4-dioxane in consumer products. So we know that while 1,4-dioxane was traditionally found in a stabilizer and chlorinated solvents, it's now made its way into many consumer products, such as cosmetics, deodorants, shampoos, detergents, adhesives, paint strippers, and even household cleaners. So an additional step is that, in fact, the state is going to be requiring disclosure of all chemical ingredients in household cleaners. So shortly that will be a requirement, and the manufacturers will have to list on the website ingredients of those household cleaners, which could include 1,4-dioxane. So consumers will be able to make better educated decisions and possibly push for eventually the removal of 1,4-dioxane as a product in any of those consumer products that they typically use. So with all of that being said and all the efforts the state's already taking, I am happy to and proud to join Commissioner Zucker in co-signing the governor's letter to the interim EPA administrator on behalf of the DEC.
Thank you, Karen. I'd now like to introduce our county executive, Steve Bellone, to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Zucker. It's a pleasure to have you here once again in Suffolk County. And I want to thank you and your team for the leadership you've demonstrated, and particularly, of course, want to thank Governor Cuomo for his leadership on the water quality issue statewide. This has been a top priority for Suffolk County for a number of years now, water quality. And we have been buoyed in our efforts by the governor's leadership on this issue statewide. You know, the things that we've tried to do, we have had an indispensable partner in you and New York State. And we very much appreciate that. I want to thank my colleagues who are here, some of them Steve Engelbright, Legislator Kara Hahn, both longtime leaders on the environment, particularly Assemblyman Engelbright. That's not a reflection of his age, of course.
Maybe a little bit.
I want to thank our team here, Dr. Tamarkin and Peter Scully, of our water quality, and the Suffolk County Water Authority for the great work that they've been doing, and people like Adrian Esposito, who's been working on the grassroots here around the state and is a leader around our country as well. This is a very serious issue for us, water quality. 1,4-dioxane is another piece of that we take very seriously here. And we are appreciative and grateful for the incredible partnership that we've had with New York State under Governor Cuomo's leadership. And I am here with my partners to say that we need the federal government to step up and demonstrate more leadership on this issue. It is critically important. The other message we're delivering here today is that in the absence of that leadership, Governor Cuomo, the state, and certainly we are partnering with them, we are taking aggressive action. And that is very important here. And I think the fact that we are here at Stony Brook University, the home of the Center for Clean Water Technology that was created by the governor, to actually look at these issues. The rapid response team, we worked with the state's rapid response team. We saw that in action, in real time, working to assist us when we had the PFAS issue come up here. And they were absolutely incredible here every step of the way with us to make sure that that was handled in the best way possible. And the result was, I thought, really incredibly successful from a public policy level, exactly the kind of thing you need to be doing. And we're proud that we're working to develop the solutions on 1,4-dioxane right here in Suffolk County. The Suffolk County Water Authority and Jeff Szabo, the executive director, have done a tremendous job, and are leaders in the industry. And they've been working to develop a pilot program in coordination with the State Department of Health, with your team, with our team at the local level here. And this advanced oxidation process pilot program is a very important step, and we appreciate, again, the partnership here. And that's key. To address an issue like that, this is everyone working together, but you need leadership. We've gotten that leadership from Governor Cuomo. We need leadership at the at the federal level as well, and that's why we're here today. And I am very glad to be signing this letter asking that the federal government step up. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to work with your team, with you and
Thanks,
your team, and we move things forward. And now I'd like to introduce Assemblyman Engelbreit for some comments. Thank you very much, Assemblyman.
Thank you, Commissioner, and thank you for being here on Long Island again to reinforce the urgency that we all face with this issue. Emerging contaminants such as 1,4-dioxane are something that we shouldn't be messing around with. The federal government is not keeping up with the frequency of the insults to our water supply, but maybe this request from our state will get their attention and bring some favorable action. If the apparent disassembly of the EPA at the federal level that's going on now continues, and if it results in a non-response to this unified request from all levels of government here in New York, then the fact is that our government and our governor in particular are prepared to step forward and do the right thing to protect the health and well-being of our people. So I'm pleased to be here. I am grateful to Governor Cuomo for his leadership, and to each and every person who is signing on to this letter today. It underscores just how unified we are in our determination to protect the quality of life and the health of life of our citizens. So thank you for each of you who are involved for what you do.
Thank you, Assemblyman. Now I'd like to introduce Dr. Harold Walker.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here. The Center for Clean Water Technology's goal in this effort is to work with water utilities and water authorities and the state to develop and advance and facilitate the approval of new technologies, new water treatment technologies that will help solve this problem with 1,4-dioxane as well as other problems that may emerge with other emerging contaminants. The fact is that these are emerging contaminants and there aren't proven treatment technologies. They're already off the shelf, and so we've been working very hard in the county. I know there's a lot of efforts here to develop new technologies, and the center is going to work again with the county and the state to bring these new technologies to the point where they can be implemented.
Thank you very much. I'd like to introduce Jeff Szabo.
Thank you, Dr. Zucker. I'd like to thank Governor Cuomo and certainly Dr. Zucker for being here this Saturday morning, spending a Saturday with us here in Suffolk County, for their tremendous leadership on this very important issue. I'd like to start just by saying that, the reason we're here is because there is no effective treatment for 1,4-dioxane. So typical treatment methods that remove contaminants from drinking water, like granular activated carbon and things like that, don't work for 1,4-dioxane. So that being said, in the fall of 2011, the Water Authority began a pilot program at one of their well fields in Central Islip, small-scale pilot, using something called advanced oxidation, an AOP system to try to remove 1,4-dioxane, small scale, and it was proven successful. It removed about 97% of the contaminants. That being said, we then decided we should move up to a large scale and began conversations with the local and state health department to try to see if we become the first in the state AOP system to remove 1,4-dioxane. This spring, keeping our fingers crossed, we will have that system operational and fully ready to go for our busy spring pumping season. We will test it out, run the results, send the results to the health department at the local level and the state, and with any luck, we'll be able to move forward, and this system could be implemented not only here in Suffolk, but elsewhere in the state. So we're very proud to sign on to this letter. We ask that the EPA set an MCL, and we again thank Dr. Zucker and Governor Cuomo for their tremendous leadership.
Thank you very much. So now is the time to sign the letter and have us all put our names, our John Hancock, on this and send it off to Washington. So I will start. Just check and be sure the ink is in. Next, our Suffolk County Executive, Steve Malone. Excellent, thank you. The next, Carrie Gallagher. Thank you. I think we'll just come up. Assemblyman Engelbright. You get to keep the pen.
You get to keep the pen.
Yeah, you get to keep the pen. Absolutely. Jim Sabo.
That is a John Hancock
Yeah.
size signature.
I know, so-
That is a big signature.
That's a signature of an elected official.
We'll have you all stand here. Great. And Dr. Harold. Great, thank you. Dr. James Tamarkin. And Kara Hahn.
One spot left.
That's it.
Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
very much, and this will go down. I trust the U.S. Postal Service, but I think we'll send it other ways as well.
All right, great job.